Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Apovit in the 5-minute pool on ICC. And I'm opening with e4 against Apovit, and we have a perk or Philidor Defense going on. I'm just going to play knight f3, and I'm going to play... Okay, now it's transposed to like a Hanham Philidor, I think they call this line. I'll just play bishop c4. Yeah, this is a setup that black can direct the game into if they want. I like playing a4 whenever they go c6 in this line, just so you don't have to worry about b5. Now here's where my memory of this line gets a little fuzzy, because it really depends how they treat the pawns on the queen side, because they're going to play like b6 and bishop b7 typically, and long run they'd like to play a6 and then b5. And it's actually very easy for white to drift to this line. I think I should go b3, so I'll play that. And right after this, I think now is a good time to play d5. Man, my memory of this line is hazy, though. So we'll see. d5, and I'm trying to take control over the c5 square, or over the d5 square, rather. So bishop b7, yep. I'll just take, and probably play bishop a3, hit d6. No tactics he has. Yeah, let's do that. And I might be looking to jump one of my pieces into d5 soon to try to take over that square. Maybe rook e2 is a good move now, just to overprotect c2 in the case that there's some swapping that happens on d5, and I can take with my queen without fear of queen takes c2 retribution at the end. Also, rook d2 might allow me to pressure his d6 pawn. Rook e2, rook d2, that is. So, yeah, all things considered, this is looking pretty normal. Knight h4, is that anything? Trying to get into f5? If I do that, he might be able to take on e4. Nah, actually, no. He won't be able to do that favorably. Let's try knight h4. It looks interesting. This move appeals to me. Now that he's played h6, he can't meet knight h4 with g6, because I could just play knight takes g6, thanks to my light square bishop here. If his pawn was still back on h7, he might have a license to do that, since he'd have h-pawn protecting it. The alternative was a normal continuation like knight d5. So I like this. I like the look of this. Gave him something to think about too. He suddenly slowed down. It's possible for him to play something like a rook move, like let's say rook fd8, and then put the bishop on f8, but it looks like he's just going to try to attack my e-pawn. Knight h4, is he going to take? Huh. Yeah, I guess that works for him if he does that. I have knight g6 here if I want it. Knight g6. Because knight f5, I think he can just take on e4, is what he's arguing. Can he really do that, though? If so, how does that work exactly? I'm not so sure. I think he might not be able to take on e4, so I'm going to do this. Knight g6 didn't look like it led to much if he just plays like rook fd8. So this is the principled move. I'm thinking I might have some chance to get my queen over to g4 with an exchange sack on e4, so he declines to check whether that was possible for me. Okay, I could go knight d5 now. What other moves come to mind? f3 just to protect e4. Knight g3 seems kind of lame. I'm not going to do that. Knight d5. Yeah, knight d5 would be like the normal move. Rook e3. I really want to play rook e3. All right, just because I don't want to sit here for too much longer thinking about it, I'll go knight d5. I'm not actually super happy about that move. I think I might have had better ways to proceed, but I think this is a safe way to go about it. And I'm still slightly better, I believe. I just don't get as much of a direct attack in this position. d6 is still extremely vulnerable for him. I was actually maybe threatening knight takes e7 in that position. Let's just go rook d1. Make him respond to a threat on d6. Okay, he's probably trying to play g6 now to force me backward. I can't really take, I guess, because of rook d8. Well, maybe I could take. Nah, not yet. Let's just swing. Let's swing our rook up and try to make it over to g3. See how he deals with that. I am threatening knight takes h6 now. Gotta watch my time. Must watch the time. For some reason I couldn't pronounce that. Okay, let's go h4. He'll go g6 undoubtedly. I don't think he wants to let me play h5. But if he goes g6, that's a future target for h5. Maybe he should go g6, knight e3, and then h5 himself. But I can swing this rook over to f3, because f7 is a weakness that I might be able to exploit. Yeah, I felt in control this entire game. I definitely liked my position still. But, you know, I'm not going to be like putting him away anytime soon. I don't think. If king here, maybe g4 is what I'll do. Yeah, I'm going to do g4. Probably regardless of how he defends f7. I'll leave open the option of bringing the knight to c4. Let's go g4. Now my knight could maybe join the attack again. Let's go h5 now. This king side is just so bare. It takes, I'll go knight e3. I'm trying to get f5. This knight is extremely poor on b7. Prevents him from doing too much with his queen. Okay, he's going to try to bring his rook up through e6. But that doesn't work, because after rook e6, rook here, he can't play rook g6. I just take it. He's pinned. Yeah, I think I'm winning. I'm just winning a piece. With an enduring attack, too. Oh, so he bails out. Let's just take. Threatening to take on e6, too. This is disaster. Winning more material. Yeah, this is over. Still playing. And now he resigns. Okay. Well, let's have a look. So, it looked like it was headed for a perk. If he had played g6, we'd be in perk territory. But then he abruptly played knight bd7 and went for e5. So I think this variation is called the Hanham Philidor, if I'm recalling correctly. So I played bishop c4 and then bishop e7. I mentioned that this is a line where white can drift very easily if they're not familiar what to do. So a4 is a useful move after c6, just stopping b5. There is a decent amount of theory in this variation, though. Like, I'm not entirely sure b3 is the best approach. I know rook e1 is a useful move, so that's why I played it. But I think trying to develop this bishop on a conventional square like e3 or g5 isn't so promising for white in this line. I think it's better to go to a3 to try to pressure d6, because that's a potential weak point in their position. So b6 and now d5. If you linger too long in determining the center/queenside structure here, black might get time to do that plan I was talking about, a6 and b5. So c6 is a nice move to destroy c6, start trying to create some weaknesses. So take, and then bishop a3. He played a6, I went rook e2. Maybe queen d3 is also worth consideration here. Hitting a6 and preparing to bring a rook to d1 and fire on d6. Maybe that was just a better move. Let's see what the engine thinks. Engine still likes knight h4, even when h6 hasn't been played. Queen d3 thinks white's slightly better. Nothing much. bishop b7, rook a d1, and I assume knight c5. Yeah. Sorry about my voice. I'm still getting over this cold, and I'm pretty stuffed up still. So I played rook e2. I mentioned that this move actually was intended to protect the c2 pawn. It's pretty much the only reason I played it, because I might want to jump my knight into d5, but just to illustrate, like if I played knight d5 right away, he could take, and if I were to take with a bishop, then take, I would not be able to take with a queen. Although actually maybe I could, because maybe his queen gets trapped if he does this. Okay, that's a detail I didn't see. Yeah, his queen's like kind of running out of squares. But at any rate, I think rook e2 is useful in the long run. May not be technically the best move here, though. So, rook e2, he went h6. Yeah, now I really like this knight h4 move. If he goes after the knight on h4 tactically, like let's say he plays knight takes e4, which is a common trick you have to be aware of when you're moving a knight to the edge of the board, a discovery from your opponent. I think I can just take, and if he takes, I have bishop takes d6, and I'm going to pick up the exchange. So I don't think that's good for him at all. So he played knight c5, and I got into f5. Okay, so here's where I was really wondering if he could take on e4 or not. So let's say, hypothetically, he takes, let's say he takes this way. So knight f takes e4. What I was thinking is because my rook has potential to take on e4 and get my queen over to g4 and threaten mate on g7, that this might not be good for him. Just got to think like what's the best move order to do this with. Let's say I take this way, and I mean maybe he can take with the knight actually. And then if I were to go rook takes e4, bishop takes e4, queen g4, he has this move in defense. So maybe I actually want to play rook takes e4 right away. Then if knight takes e4, queen g4 follows through with this idea, and I'm threatening mate, and I'm also threatening to take on e4. And I saw that if knight g5, I could potentially just play h4. I'm just not sure about the mechanics of this whole operation. It looked like kind of murky / dangerous for black. So I wonder if it's even possible for him to take. Engine says knight f takes e4. Yeah, rook takes e4. Okay. It validates this idea. Cool. Knight g5, h4. Yep. Seems like white's winning material. Can he do something like this to knock me off balance? Maybe. It's very frustrating for him that he can't play g6 because I have just queen takes g6 thanks to my pinning bishop on c4. So it says this is also dangerous for him. Queen g4. Yeah, I'm still threatening to eliminate that knight. Great position for white. Okay, so my instinct was correct here with knight f5 because I would hate to have to play just knight g6 and maybe allow him to just move his rook over or something, or even take on e4 apparently. So knight f5 and he went here. Now I jumped into d5. Yeah, I really thought there was something potentially better than this, but I wasn't sure what. Computer says just take here and then play queen d3. That's interesting. D takes, and then queen d3. Hitting a6 and maybe preparing a swing of the queen over to g3. Yeah, because having this knight on f5 just begs white to continue with an attack against g7 by getting a heavy piece up here to g3 or g4. But I played knight d5, and I still felt I kept good control over the position. Knight b7 was not a very successful move for him. It seemed to me like his knight belonged on e6, but he has trouble doing that with d6 being so weak. I can just take and go after this pawn. So he has issues with that. Also on d5, my queen eyes the a8 rook, which could be loose in the event that I ever get knight takes e7 in, and he has to take with his rook. So this rook could be overloaded, trying to defend both the bishop and the other rook. So take, yeah, and I think after this, white's advantage is nearly overwhelming. I got rook d3 in. This seemed natural. I wanted to use this rook in order to keep this rook defending c2. Yeah, swung this over. Unfortunately, I did have some time pressure at this point. H4. H4 is good on several levels. No back rank problem to worry about. The H-pawn will be useful in the attack. If he ever plays G6, as you saw, I could bring my pawn up to H5. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Let me back up. So, yeah, I liked H4. Adds another ingredient to our recipe for attacking success here. So G6, drop my knight back. Rook F3, yeah, I'm glad the engine approves of a lot of these moves. G4, knight takes. Position just becomes hard for him to defend. Yeah, H5. To me, it seemed pretty natural to play this way because he has so many resources just kind of lingering on the queen side. All his pieces are in this little quadrant here. This quadrant. So, yeah, I thought knight F6 might also be good, but I just saw that F5 square for my knight again. Reintroduced the knight to that square where it was a little earlier in the game. Yep. Does he have any defense here? Looks like if he does, it's not going to last too long. Yeah, because Rook G3 is coming, and he's in real tough shape. I mean, if he bails to F8 with his king, then I have takes, and this bishop is a killer as well. And if something like King H8, yeah, Rook H3, go after this pawn, he's not going to survive. He can never get my queen out of D5 either. So it's just rough for him. Yeah, and he resigned after I took his bishop.
Check.
Or, sorry, he did not resign after. I had it in my head that he should resign, but he actually played it out. I forgot about that. He might have been originally intending Rook G6 here, but yeah, as I said, I have Rook takes G6 in reply, and he's pinned.
Check.
Yeah, it's just over after this. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. That was a fun one. And I'll be back tomorrow with another Blitz game. Please leave me any feedback in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.